Dragon Ball Super is back, both with a Super remake that's very controversial and also with a continuation series for Dragon Ball Super from the Tournament of Power and starting with the Galactic Patrol arc. That's right, Moro is here, finally. But what are all the details? Fans have been waiting for this for over 8 years for Super to make its comeback, and now it's here. But fans are still a bit confused and asking questions like, why isn't Moro coming out sooner? Is the Battle of Gods arc only being remade? Or is all the arcs being remade, like the Resurrection of F arc, the Universe 6 vs. Universe 7 arc, the Goku Black arc, and the Tournament of Power? Will all of this follow the manga more closely and faithfully? Is Daima in the same continuity or canon? These are all questions I will answer today with only the facts from the official sources. This is everything to know about the future of Dragon Ball Super as a whole. Quick sidebar here. This image is fan made and not official at all. Only educated guesses. The remake information is close to being correct, but the information about the brand new adaptations like episode count and more details about Moro and Granola, yeah, that's all made up and not confirmed in any single way. Just like in the same picture, it states at the top, leaked roadmap for DBS's starting is stating a 2028 air date, but that's not confirmed or official at all. And the only thing that is confirmed from credible sources like DBS Hype, Super Chronicles, or Geekdom 101, and have confirmed that the Moral arc is coming in either late 2027 or 2028. So now, let's go ahead and dive into Dragon Ball Super Beerus. It was announced that the anime Dragon Ball Super original work, story, and character design by Akira Toriyama is set to begin anew as Dragon Ball Super Beerus. Yes, this will be a fourth retelling of the Battle of Gods storyline, however, with a more authentic approach. But what does that mean? Well, to explain, Dragon Ball Super Beerus, it's a project that was actually started a few years ago before Toriyama's passing and is the newly enhanced edition of the anime Dragon Ball Super, aka Dragon Ball Super Kai. And yes, Dragon Ball Super Kai is the name behind the scenes as code words to describe this. To explain, Dragon Ball Super Beerus is a project that was started a few years ago with Toriyama's involvement, and it's going to be the newly enhanced official edition of the anime of Dragon Ball Super. The show will be enhanced by insane visual expressions, every scene's being redone, and especially the battle scenes, they are even more immersive and provide a more faithful and detailed reproduction of the original work that Akira Toriyama was making. And as stated on the website, this show is to deliver a quality that is sure to fully satisfy audiences. And it better. Now, something to note from the website, and I quote, we need to stay tuned for the future of the series along with DBS, the Galactic Patrol. So does this mean they are only redoing the Beerus arc, aka Battle of Gods? Or are they redoing each single arc and leading up to the Moral arc? Is this a Super remake or just a Beerus remake? Well, to break it down even further, we need to know what was the idea or the point of doing another retelling. And the main point is to make a more true and authentic series that actually expresses Akira Toriyama's original idea. And as mentioned before, Toriyama is involved in this and adding and changing things in finality. And that's what they're doing, is making a definitive version for both new fans and old fans to easily get into the series and to have one single cohesive story that actually adds up. So by the time they get tomorrow, the momentum's there, everything is making sense, and giving fans the truest and closest iteration to Akira Toriyama's vision of Dragon Ball Super. Now let's get more specific and talk about what's planned for this enhanced edition of Dragon Ball Super, aka the Super Remake. Well, this is the description off of the official Dragon Ball Super Beerus website, and I quote, Dragon Ball Super Beerus is the enhanced edition of the TV anime Dragon Ball Super, for which Akira Toriyama created the original work, story, and characters designs. The project features extensive new cuts, revisions to existing scenes, a complete re-rendering of all footage, newly recorded dubbing with added score and sound effects, and a full reconstruction of the story. Living up to the name enhance, this edition employs the latest visual expression to deliver greater power and immersion across all scenes, especially the battle sequences. End quote. Excited yet? Yeah, I am. This is an opportunity to make Dragon Ball Super the best, which I think is great. And I think this sets up so many possibilities. Super can actually be done right and become some of the best Dragon Ball product ever released. Now, if you can't tell, this is basically the new beginning of the Dragon Ball series. hence the different logo and restarting from Beerus. Again, there will be one main centralized story that is more faithful to the manga, but also with Toriyama changes and additions before his passing that he wanted in the show. Next, let's get into the release info for Dragon Ball Super Beerus, right? This show is to premiere on Fuji TV in Japan fall of 2026, which is like Daima. The website marks that this is a kickoff of the new DBS experience. Hence, like I said, a new beginning. Next, who is the lead character designer? And it's still Yamamuro. And I know some of you guys are worried because of Super, but back in the day, Yamamuro was top tier, especially in the Cell Saga. This time, though, he's going to have lead animators from Daima, the best ones that worked on Dragon Ball, and they won't just be improving old scenes, but they're going to be making new scenes confirmed. The show is set to look beautiful, and as stated on the Dragon Ball official website, it says that this new DBS remake is officially the project designed to catch everyone up and reintroduce the franchise's core story with modern visuals and audio, essentially rebooting the Super experience. And that's what this is, a soft reboot, sort of say. As someone who has watched Super a lot, I'm most excited about seeing awesome battles like Goku vs. Beerus, Goku vs. Hit, Vegeta vs. Goku Black Super Saiyan, but with new depth and a polish. Like I stated earlier, this is truly an opportunity to make some of the best Dragon Ball that we have seen since the original series. And if done right, they can create this series in a more understandable way for audiences by fixing plot holes, lore dumps, and even character behaviors. Right? Remember Goku? Definitely a bit too goofy and naive in Super. And so this Dragon Ball Super remake feels like it's giving the series the cinematic treatment that it has always deserved. And this is especially important for the beginning of the series because those battles with Beerus, that sets the tone for everything that came after. Now, I know most of you are wondering, what about remaking all of the Super arcs? Is this confirmed? Yes to the Resurrection of F remake, 100%. And like the Beerus arc, it will only have limited episodes, most likely 6 to 8 episodes. And this has been confirmed by not only Geekdom 101, but also Twitter user Supa Chronicles. To add even more insight to the behind the scenes of this remake, Geekdom also revealed that they are in fact remaking the Champa arc and the Zamasu slash Future Trunks arc and the Tournament of Power arc. Hopefully we get cool scenes from the manga like Kefla vs. Gohan or Vegeta Super Saiyan God in the Future Trunks arc. And with them being more faithful to the manga, getting those fights is very possible. But let's get granular, right? What details do we actually have about Dragon Ball Super Golden Frieza? Well, Geekdom 101 made a statement, and I quote, DBS Golden Frieza arc will have tons of filler cut out, and it's more like an extended version of the movie versus a cut down version of the anime adaptation, end quote. Now, I love this. This is exactly what Resurrection of F should have done with the Super anime retelling of the arc. Instead of making an inferior and subpar product, they could have taken the skeleton, or they will be taking the skeleton now, of that Dragon Ball Z Resurrection of F movie and beef it up with Toriyama's original vision and his add-ons. So this actually makes sense. And for those of you that don't know, this will be following Toriyama's vision more closely because the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F movies, those had Toriyama involved way more than the Super anime series. He actually wrote the manuscripts for those movies, where for the Super anime, he was not a part of it at all. Toriyama did not write one single episode of the Dragon Ball Super anime. So yes, the movies are more canon than the anime arcs of Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. However, some of you might be wondering, how is this possible when the manga is usually the source material? Well, usually yes. But for the first 2 arcs of Super, Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, the manga adaptations were only done by Toyotaro for promotional purposes for those movies. Shueisha hired Toyotaro and just to do promotional Dragon Ball manga for upcoming material. It wasn't until the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 arc that Toriyama actually started getting involved and became a mentor to Toyotaro and writing the arcs in conjunction with one another. And with all that being said, with this new enhanced version, this should be the most definitive and truest authentic version of Toriyama's vision. Next, let's talk about the Dragon Ball Super Champa arc, Universe 6 versus Universe 7. Geekdom is also stating that it will be about 10 to 12 episodes, is confirmed, and is going to incorporate some of the elements from the manga. So please let us get Goku and Vegeta using Super Saiyan God in the retelling of Resurrection F, the Champa arc, and the Future Trunks arc, and the Tournament of Power. To continue, the Dragon Ball Super Future Trunks arc is stated to have some of the most changes. These are the facts we have so far. It's going to be around 18 episodes, and it's going to have many new scenes along with scenes from the manga to make it, again, a more faithful adaptation. So scenes like Goku Black transforming into regular Super Saiyan Golden hair, and Vegeta Super Saiyan God having fights, going into blue for a second when going in for the strike. These are all facts of the manga that they can incorporate, plus the extra scenes that they state they're working on. Now for the Tournament of Power. There is no official confirmation of this yet. However, like stated earlier, it is pretty safe to assume that they are going to do a retelling of Tournament of Power, and that's because of the direction Toei and Capsule Corp Tokyo are taking. They're going for a more saga-styled seasonal approach. And if they're making a Golden Frieza arc, a Champa arc, a Future Trunks arc, it only makes sense that they're also going to retell the Tournament of Power arc. Now, the show being seasonal, we're going to dive into this more after we cover the Galactic Patrol piece. But before getting to the moral discussion, where does Daima fit into all of this? Here's the thing. There is no answer about this. Not Geekdom, not DBS Hype, no other credible source has this information officially, at least not to my knowledge. However, general consensus among the fans is that SS3 Vegeta and SS4 Goku will be mentioned in Dragon Ball Super at the very least, which I think needs to happen, especially if they're going for a more consistent continuity approach in which those transformations and the events from Daima need to be either elaborated on or, again, at the very least, mentioned. Now, I would love to see SS4 Goku versus Beerus and SS3 Vegeta versus Beerus with his rage boost, so I am really hoping we get that, and I do think it's very possible because I think Dragon Ball Daima was the start of doing this seasonal idea. Having sagas, Dragon Ball Daima, Dragon Ball Beerus, Dragon Ball Golden Frieza, you get the point. And now you have the opportunity to make it make sense. Put SS4 Goku versus Beerus, put SS3 Vegeta versus Beerus, make the fans pop. And if they don't do this, I'll be honest, it's going to be a missed opportunity. Why not? But again, at the very minimum, we need the series to explain or detail those transformations in some sort of capacity. When thinking deeply about this Dragon Ball Super Beerus remake anime, along with the rest of the remake, I feel it's actually a good thing, and I want to make a separate video discussing why. However, for now, let's get to what we've all been waiting for, and that's the discussion of the moral arc. During the Genkidamatsuri event, Dragon Ball Super The Galactic Patrol was officially announced as an upcoming anime project, and this is to be adapted from the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc of the manga. So does this mean the new moral arc will follow the manga exactly? No, but rather the story will be following the Universe Survival arc, the Tournament of Power of the anime of Dragon Ball Super, which aired between 2015 and 2018. That's what it shows on the website. But then the website also goes on to state that it also appears in the manga Dragon Ball as the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc. So is it following the manga or the anime or both? It's kind of a similar idea to the Beerus remake. There's going to be changes, there's going to be new scenes, which will be from Toriyama's involvement and will follow the direction of making this new Dragon Ball Super more faithful to the Akira Toriyama original vision. Basically, it is going to follow the manga more closely, but there will be plot elements from the original Super airing in 2015 to 2018, along with some changes that Toriyama provided. The Dragon Ball official website goes on to give a brief synopsis talking about the main characters, Son Goku and Vegeta. They will work together with the members of the Galactic Patrol, who are the peacekeepers of the galaxy. And this is set to begin a super scale battle against a new enemy that we've all been waiting for, Planet Eater Moro. Now, what do we have? We only have the teaser visual showing us Goku and Vegeta are wearing their normal outfits, but with the Galactic Patrol symbol on the chest. Super sick. There's stern expressions on their face, and there's a large Galactic Patrol emblem in the background, and this visual's super awesome. It gives us an exciting first look at our two favorite warriors and solidifies that the moral arc is here. It also looks like it might be in Shintani's animation style, who did DBS Broly. That would be great. I just want it to look beautiful. To continue on, let's dive a little deeper about whether it's from the manga or the anime or both or what's going on. As stated on the official website, this will be based on Akira Toriyama's and Toyotaro's original work and continuation in the manga, aka the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc. So it is going to have the manga as its base, as its foundation, but this is not going to be a one-to-one copy and paste. No, there's going to be changes to plot points, to dialogue, and to lore of the arc, and while some of these changes will come from Toriyama himself, there are also lore and plot points that will directly come from the Dragon Ball Super original anime. And I'm confident this will be the same formula for arcs to come, like the Granola arc or the superhero retelling or Black Frieza. Again, what they're going for is one main source for the continuity. So the real question, when are we getting this? What's the production status? Officially, from the Genkidamatsuri, the show is in production. There's no release date announced yet officially, although, like stated earlier, many insiders are saying that this arc will come out later in late fall of 2027 or sometime in 2028. Which, think about it, makes sense. If they're doing all the retellings and they're starting at the end of 2026, that gives them about a year and a half to do those retellings and build that momentum up to the Galactic Patrol arc, which in my opinion is okay. Take your time. This is the first brand new animated continuation of Super Story post Universal Survival arc, which is great. Take your time, make it look beautiful. Fans have been waiting years for this moral arc, and we want it to be amazing. If they add enough changes and make the Super retelling as amazing as possible, the hype will be so high for when Moro comes out that it's bound to explode. And that should be the goal of the people in charge of this series. Now, how do I feel about everything? Simply put, this is awesome. Both announcements, especially the reveal of the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc, literally blew up the Dragon Ball world again. It has made me and so many other fans pumped for the future of our beloved series. The hype has been so real. Dragon Ball Super was trending on X for a few days. Obviously, many people are happy, and rightfully so. Dragon Ball Super is back. And listen, we are now officially in the new era of Dragon Ball Super, starting with the remake / enhanced series. Then we go to the Galactic Patrol and beyond. This is major for all of us Dragon Ball fans. And this isn't just rehashing nostalgia or the old Super anime. This is building towards the next chapter and direction of the Dragon Ball Super series. This is to depict Akira Toriyama's truest intent and vision, which I personally love. Again, this is going to be the definitive way of watching Dragon Ball Super. But before we wrap up, what about the manga? Is that coming back? Well, as of now, there are no facts or information surrounding the continuation of the manga at this time, but maybe we get an announcement on Goku Day or another Dragon Ball event this year. However, it is more than reasonable to assume that the announcement for the Super manga returning will be dropped at some point this year. Think about it. They don't want to run into a similar situation as before where they pass up Toyotaro's manga and they're making their own storylines at Toei. This is going to bring us back to square one and cause confusion amongst the fans. I actually feel this is part of the reason for the Super remake, and that is to give more time to Toyotaro to keep drawing the manga. Not completely, but it could be one of the reasons. So again, no confirmations or intel yet on the Dragon Ball Super manga, but in my opinion, I feel very strongly about the manga coming back sooner than later. Stay tuned. Regardless, like I said earlier, Dragon Ball Super is back, baby. And whether you're a diehard fan since the original Dragon Ball and DBZ, or if you started watching with Kai or Super, know that both Dragon Ball Super Beerus and the Galactic Patrol arcs, they represent an exciting future for all of us. This is to give respect to Toriyama and his work, but will also push the series forward. And like I said, like I keep saying, a new beginning for Dragon Ball. As a fan, I could say Dragon Ball's legacy is alive again, bigger, sharper, and ready to break limits. But let me know in the comments, what are you most hyped for? Is it the Dragon Ball Super remake or the Galactic Patrol arc or both or neither? And tell me your why. Thank you for watching, and be sure to hit the subscribe and like button. I would really appreciate it. Take care and never give up. Peace!